They breached the final barrier at dusk. An eruption of dust and sound marked the last line's collapse. From the ridge above the canyon temple, the descending wave of metal-clad soldiers surged like a living storm. Cannons thumped. Rounds traced red arcs through violet air. The defenders, frail, silver-eyed, and thin, offered no charge and no resistance. They stood in loose formation with palms outward and heads slightly bowed, like reeds waiting for fire. It was not a war, it was a display. A final push against the people already broken. The temple cracked like eggshell beneath their entry charges. Marble dust rained from ceilings as the invaders flooded the sanctuary. There, hidden under ancient glyph-engraved slabs and low-humming pillars, it was found. An object black, smooth, and seamless. It hovered inches above a seat of bone. It bore no handles, no ports, no emitters. It pulsed softly. Symbols glowed across its surface. Scanners returned no material match, no heat, no radiation. They had captured their enemy's crown. The last of the defenders did not run. They lowered themselves prostrate to the blood-stained floor and touched their heads to the stone, not in fear, in mourning. That night, there was celebration. The victors returned to their drop base in the high canyon with songs of conquest echoing through steel chambers. Meat was cooked over fusion coils, seasoned in haste and shared like plunder. Bottles of spice brew and liquor passed hand to hand, uncounted. Helmets were set aside, war paint smeared with sweat and smoke. Someone painted the object on the mess wall, a crude, glowing likeness framed in blood. The object itself hovered untouched in the central chamber, a trophy, or a warning. Those who had brought it from the temple sat nearest to it, laughing loudest. They feasted past midnight. By morning, one of them was dead. He hadn't choked, and there were no wounds. He was found alone in a hallway, face down on the floor. There was a trace of blood beneath his nose, dried. The body was cool. No trauma. No response to stimulants. Positional asphyxiation, the report said. Suspected alcohol-related respiratory suppression. His body was sealed and stored. There was no inquiry. They blamed alcohol. That evening, the air changed. It wasn't a noise, not quite. More like pressure. A subtle rhythmic sensation beneath hearing, echoing from deep within the ventilation network. 4 beats, then silence. 4 beats, then silence. Engineers checked the systems. No anomalies. Structural scans returned clean. No rodents, no infiltration, no leaks. Still, the sound remained. Some described it as breathing. Others said it matched their pulse. By the next day, the first sores appeared. They began as raised blemishes at the joints and underarms, a red ring with a pale center. Within hours, the centers darkened. Blisters formed, then spread in circular patterns. One soldier reported a burning in his spine. Then the lesions began to weep. The fluid was not pus. It was translucent and glowed faintly in low light. It smelled of copper and mint. One medic extracted a vial and labeled it. The vial cracked on its own an hour later. Another soldier, attempting to self-medicate with dermal glue and antiseptic, screamed when the fluid moved inside the sealed wound. It squirmed up his arm in branching lines beneath the skin like roots seeking soil. He died with no visible trauma. His organs had liquefied. His skin remained intact until autopsy. The object was moved to the isolation hangar. No one volunteered. It was pulled with a tethered drone, suspended carefully to avoid proximity. The central AI refused to run diagnostics. It flagged the object as a hostile unknown and severed its own control nodes to avoid reactivation. Once inside the hangar, the door locked on its own. Access codes failed. Manual overrides resisted pressure. A dim hum began to rise from the surrounding walls. That night, a priest arrived from orbit. Draped in ceremonial armor and sacred braids, he descended into the shrine room to perform rites. The object was set upon the altar, framed by ancestral icons and anointed with sacred oil. He chanted ancient syllables drawn from the deep code of Dagon's archives. He did not last the night. The next morning, the doors opened on their own. He lay sprawled on the floor. His eyes had been reduced to ash. His mouth had filled with wax. Around him, the altar bore new markings etched so deeply into the alloy that the surface had melted and reformed. No heat signatures had been recorded. The recording systems had looped, capturing only static and pulsing blue light. No one entered that room again. By day 4, the distortions began. They weren't structural, not in any way scans could confirm. Personnel reported entire corridors that seemed to shift positions. A route that led to the barracks now opened on the storage. A hallway that should have ended at a stairwell curved in on itself and led back to where it started. Some swore the walls rearranged behind them when they turned around. At first, it was dismissed as exhaustion or stress, then people started getting lost. One soldier radioed in, insisting he had walked the same 10 meters for over an hour. When security reached him, he was curled on the floor, repeating his own name and service number over and over, eyes wide and unfocused. Another crewman was found in the mess hall muttering about doors that won't stay put and rooms inside other rooms. He couldn't explain how he got there. His boots were soaked from coolant. There was no coolant spill within 50 meters. By the end of the day, 3 more had gone missing. By day 5, the dreams were unanimous. Everyone who slept saw an ocean of thick, black liquid with lights beneath its surface like cities breathing beneath oil. From it rose impossible structures, too tall, too thin, bending in ways that defied dimension. And above them all, the object hovered. It opened, blooming like a flower. Something moved within. A voice that was not voice reached out across the water. Return it. They stopped sleeping. The final affliction came without warning. Across the base, every afflicted soldier convulsed at once. Spines arched, eyes rolled white, limbs contorted. Those still coherent could only watch as their comrades' bodies began to stiffen. Their skin tightened, turned glassy. Veins blackened, froze mid-flow. One figure collapsed mid-stride and shattered on impact. Within minutes, they were statues. Dozens of them, frozen in mid-motion. Open mouths, outstretched hands, some still kneeling. That was the end of any debate. The object was placed in an unmanned shuttle within the hour, with no ceremony and no words. The crew launched it toward the enemy camp, toward the shattered temple of the silver-eyed ones, the place they should not have touched. No guidance required. It knew the way. That night, the station was silent. No more screams, no more visions, no more pulsing from the walls. But the crew did not rejoice. They no longer trusted quiet things.